Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So with government funding set to expire on September 30th of this year, House lawmakers just released their plan, which really doesn't bode all that well for the future of Social Security, and obviously will set up a clash with members of the Democratic Party in the Senate, and of course a lot of moderate Republicans as well. So we're going to be going over that plan. Plus, we're going to be going over an alternative plan, which in my opinion at least is much better. And then of course, one that is much more realistic of passing as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so as I just mentioned, of course, on September 30th, just coming up in a few months away, which of course they're probably going to kick this can down the road in grand Congress fashion. Well, on September 30th, of course, government funding is going to expire, so they have all these different appropriation bills that they have to pass separately to fund these different areas of the government. And if they don't do so, they actually have a rule set up where if they're not able to fund all these appropriation bills, well, what happens is all of these areas actually end up receiving an automatic 1% cut. So we don't really have Republicans or Democrats wanting this to happen because both sides favor at least a few of these areas that they have to fund, and they don't want any of the areas that they like to receive a 1% cut. So they're going to try to make sure that all these areas are passed. Of course, there are a lot of limitations. So in the bill that raised the debt ceiling, of course, Republicans made sure that there were certain areas that were cuts in. And right now we have some lawmakers, some House Republicans who actually want even more cuts, more spending cuts in the appropriation bills. And obviously that's not going to bode too well to get the support from Democrats in the Senate, as well as some moderate Republicans as well in the Senate. And of course, in one of the bills, in one of the blueprint plans that Republicans have kind of drummed up so far, there's actually something pretty bad happening with Social Security in that. So we're going to get into that right now. So according to Roll Call, Conservatives' budget plan renews battles over seniors' benefits. So the largest bloc of House Conservatives offered up a fiscal blueprint Wednesday that promises to balance the federal budget in 7 years, make GOP tax cuts permanent, and slash domestic spending. The plan offered by the 175-member Republican Study Committee would gradually raise the age at which future retirees can start claiming full Social Security benefits from 67 to 69, a politically fraught proposal that's all but certain to appear in Democratic campaign ads. The plan also promises to shore up the solvency of Social Security and Medicare, though the budget document is light on details. Klein said the group has proposed gradually raising the Social Security retirement age, but not for current retirees or those nearing retirement. He said those now age 59 would see an increase in the retirement age of 3 months per year beginning in 2026. The retirement age would reach 69 for those who turn 62 in 2033. So pretty much it's saying right there that if you're the age of 52 now, if you turn 52 in 2023, that means for you that your full retirement age is now going to be lifted all the way up to 69. So if you have a bad back, bad knees, and you're looking forward to retirement at the age of 67, which is still 15 years away, well, for you, there's some very bad news there that you're now going to have to wait another 2 years because they want you to wait a little bit longer to receive your full retirement benefits. And yeah, sure, you could always take your retirement benefits earlier at 62. That's probably going to get lifted as well. But as we all know, if you take your benefits earlier, you're going to receive a huge cut in what you would actually be receiving if you waited all the way until the full retirement age. So right now, for example, if you take your full retirement benefits at the age of 62 as opposed to the age of 67, you're going to be receiving a benefit cut of 30%. So if you're going to receive like $1,000, for example, instead of receiving $1,000, you'd only be receiving $700. So obviously much better to wait until the age of 67 or whatever your full retirement age is to receive your benefits. But again, for people who are turning the age of 52 now in the year of 2023, your full retirement age would be lifted up another 2 years, which means 2 more years of working until you'd be eligible for those benefits. Now, of course, even though this plan may not be too popular among a lot of voters or future Social Security retirees, this plan, of course, is being promised a vote. So the article goes on to say that while House Republicans have yet to produce a fiscal 2024 budget resolution, the RSC blueprint offers a wish list of conservative priorities that could influence the appropriations process. Chairman Kevin Hern of Oklahoma said House leadership has promised his plan would get a floor vote. So no matter what, it seems like this plan is going to receive some sort of a vote. They don't have anything official yet, but it does look like in this plan they are going to be raising the full retirement age up to 69. Now, I don't see any way this actually makes its way through the Senate with, Democrats holding a slim majority there. I don't see enough Democrats getting on board with that plan. But of course, anything is possible. We do not want this to go through because alternatively, I think there's a lot better plans out there. So for example, one plan we have by Bernie Sanders is the Social Security Expansion Act. And instead of cutting benefits or raising the full retirement age, it would actually increase benefits for all Social Security beneficiaries by $200 per month, which obviously would be a lot better. And also for those who are currently receiving the special minimum benefit, your benefits could raise by as much as close to $500 per month. So all around, I think this bill by Bernie Sanders would be a whole lot more favorable to those receiving benefits and to those who are going to be receiving benefits in the future. Now, of course, they would do all this by taxing those who earn above $250,000. So that people who earn above $250K per year would have to pay more taxes to fund these increases. Now, the real problem with this bill that I see, of course, it has a lot of good things, but the problem in my mind at least is that right now it only has Democratic support. And right now, of course, we have Republicans who have the majority in the House. Democrats have a slim majority in the Senate, but for this bill really to have any chance of passing whatsoever, Democrats would have to regain the majority in the House, and then they'd probably need to have a super majority in the Senate. So they would need to have at least 60 members out of the 100 members, because in the Senate, for a bill to pass, they have to have at least 60 votes. And since we don't have any Republicans on board with this plan in the Senate, they're not going to be able to get the 60 votes that they need. Now, there's actually another plan which probably isn't the best, but does have the most realistic chance of actually clearing both chambers. That's because it is bipartisan. This plan is headed by Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican. And then Angus King is also heading it as well. He is an independent who actually happens to caucus with the Democrats. So in their plan, what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking $1.5 trillion in borrowed funds separate from the Social Security Trust Fund. And I think this is super important to mention that it's going to be separate. They're not going to be borrowing any money from the Social Security Trust Fund. It's going to be separate. They're going to invest this money into the U.S. economy. So think like stocks, real estate, stuff like that. And they're going to hope that it performs well over the course of 70 years. And then all of the earnings that they receive, they hope to receive around 8.5% in returns. All these earnings are then going to go to fund the Social Security program. Now, if it fails completely, that's going to be on that separate fund itself. It's not going to be taking money out of the Social Security Trust Fund. So the risk is on pretty much the fund itself. And if they don't receive the returns that they're hoping for, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to lift the cap on the Social Security payroll tax. So everyone earning, doesn't matter whether you earn $100 billion per year or whether you earn $100 per year, you're going to have to pay the Social Security FICA tax of 6.2 to 12.4%. And they're also going to lift the amount that you have to pay in. So instead of it being 6.2 to 12.4%, it could be lifted up to, let's say, like 6.4 to 12.8%. So that's going to be, if they don't receive the returns that they want, they're going to lift taxes to make sure that the Social Security Trust Fund stays solvent. Now, the good thing about this plan is that, of course, it is bipartisan. That means that it actually has a chance of passing because we need to have both Republicans and Democrats on board with any plan that they end up coming up with. So it does have a chance of passing there, unlike Bernie Sanders' plan. The bad thing about this is there are talks about raising the full retirement age. However, unlike the other plan that's currently going on in the House of Representatives, which would be raising the full retirement age for those who turn 52 this year up to 69. In this plan, they're talking about more like the age of 30. So for people who are currently around the age of 30, your full retirement age would likely be lifted up to 69 to 70, which I really don't like at all either. I think it's simply unfair, but at least it's the age of 30 and they have a little bit more time to plan there. Still, I don't like it, but a whole lot better than the age of 52. Now, there's actually a lot of confusion about this plan. A lot of people think it's like privatizing Social Security, which a lot of people do not want to happen. But Bill Cassidy, I think, does a pretty good job of clearing this up, that it's actually not technically privatizing Social Security because you're not taking funds from the trust fund. It's going to be separate. Now, Cassidy was actually on C-SPAN where he was talking about his plan, and he took a question from someone asking whether or not this is actually going to be privatization, kind of in a kind manner. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Yeah, I find this guy totally obnoxious because he's just trying to privatize Social Security. They already owe Social Security $2 trillion. All you have to do to fix this Social Security problem is to lift the caps. And if you want to cut benefits, let's talk about cutting congressmen and their benefits after they leave their office, which they have no right for. Thank you. I'll listen to your answer.
Sounds great. We're not privatizing social, my friend. We're taking a fund separate from Social Security. We don't touch Social Security funds at all. I'm glad you phrased it that way, because that's a way that people knock us without understanding the problem. And so we're making it separate. Now, if all you want to do is raise the cap, President Biden's proposal, which he proposed in his last campaign, which he's never submitted to Congress, is to say instead of the top sum being $160,000 to which you apply the cap, then we're just going to raise it to infinity. But he doesn't index that to inflation, which means that over about 15 years, every single American will get basically, if you talk to the economists, a 13% tax increase. Now, my friend, if you want to have a 13% tax increase, or if you want your children to have it, then vote for their proposal.
So I think Cassidy does a pretty good job of clearing that up. Of course, the $1.5 trillion, again, would be separate from the Social Security Trust Fund. So if that fund fails itself, of course, that would kind of hurt the American taxpayer, because that is going to be our money after all. But as Cassidy mentions over there, if you look at the stock market over the last 100 years, it's constantly gone up by an average of right around 8%. So if it continues to do so, this fund could actually be very successful over the next 70 years. But we will definitely have to wait and see. But as always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you like this plan by Cassidy? Do you hate it? Do you love it? What do you think about Bernie Sanders' Social Security Expansion Act to increase benefits by $200 per month for everyone, and possibly as high as close to $500 for those who are receiving the special minimum benefit? Let me know what your thoughts and comments are below, but that's all the news that I have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.